Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and especially if you are joining me live right now, I want to thank you for joining me. I am well aware there are a lot more entertaining things on YouTube and other streaming platforms that you could spend your very valuable time watching. So, for the period of time that you're here, thanks for joining me. If you do like this kind of retro content, I would appreciate a like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And if you are a subscriber, thank you again for subscribing. So tonight we're doing a little bit of an impromptu LMC Live. I've got quite a few small pet projects in the pipeline, although after we get through this live stream tonight, you might not think it is a small pet project. It's also kind of a lunch, or not lunch, but work and munch. And this doesn't look good on camera, but lately for a snack it's been a Thomas king-sized English muffin with Jif peanut butter and Bonne strawberry preserves from France. It's really good, so I apologize if the crunching is annoying. But it's very, very good. I think you should try it. You'll probably like it yourself. So what are we doing? We got the PCAT fired up. I've got some stuff on screen. So if you're lucky enough to have some vintage gear with spinning rust, like the 30 meg hard drive that's in this PCAT, backing it up is something that's often a concern. I mean, the only removable media you have in a computer like this is usually in a 5¼ inch. You might have a 3½ inch drive like this model does. If you were really into it at the time, you might have an internal tape drive or a parallel port tape drive. Either of those options requires a lot of time, some user intervention, and media you may or may not have available. I'm fortunate enough to have enough 5¼ inch and certainly enough 3½ inch media on hand versus having to buy some online and then wait for it to arrive. So one of the software tools that I used a lot was Ghost. I know it wasn't Symantec was not the company that created it. They bought it from another company whose name is escaping me right now. Get the camera adjusted a little bit. And Ghost is what I used for years until I developed the skills to use Microsoft's own tools and then to use some other third-party tools. But the earlier versions of Ghost, the pre-Symantec versions, which are compatible with 286 and 286. I'm not familiar with a version that's compatible with an 8088 or 8086, but if you happen to know of a version of Ghost that is, go ahead and post in the comments. So what I'm trying to do tonight is to create a single 1.2 meg floppy disk that has network drivers and can be able to use Ghost to back up the spinning rust onto the network. Most people would say, you know, that's a little too ambitious for this sort of retro. Just back it up to floppy disk or 3½, or you know, if you can figure out a way to get a parallel port hard drive on here, do it that way, and that would be right. But for tonight, this is what we're going to do. We're going to install DOS 6.22 upgrade, install drive space on the drive. We're going to make a 1.2 meg bootable but compressed drive space drive. Hopefully you'll get all the files that we need to fit inside of the compressed volume. Of course, it may end up being an epic fail. We won't know. That's going to be the adventure tonight. What we first had to do is find images for DOS 6.22. And the segue from that is, of course, all this stuff is 30 years old, almost 30 years old. Does any of the copyright holders care about our unlicensed use? Most likely not. And I too sometimes use images without having active licenses for the software, but I also want to have original media if I can find it. So I did purchase today. Today is May 10th. 5 1/4 inch MS-DOS 6.22 high density upgrade media. So I've got the images for that on the computer. I need to take those images into I've got to make legit media. So I've got some really good Unisys 5 1/4 inch high density. Going to use some of the tools that Walsh Comtech puts on their website, and I've got most of them here. I found that the raw write utility actually does work very well for writing images. So first we're going to build our MS-DOS 6.22 images. And it's in C images, disk1.img. And the target drive is going to be drive A. Whoops. Well, only a couple of minutes in, and we've already got a problem. So let's refresh our memory with the switches. I was under the impression that I did format these disks before. I might not have. So I'm going to waste a little bit of time formatting them again. We'll take at least 4 minutes, because we'll have to format 4 of these things. Really good snack. The camera always needs some adjusting. And hopefully it's not going to be a complete waste of time. You know, format these and then find that raw write doesn't work. Hey, thanks for joining the live stream. Well, hello. Thanks for being here. So what we're doing is this is an old IBM PCAT. It's a 286 machine, circa 1984, and we're trying to come up with a method for backing up the whoppingly massive 30 meg hard disk that's inside of it, and that's where a lot of the noise, the background noise that you hear is coming from, is that 30 meg hard drive spinning rust that's inside the machine. We're formatting some high density floppies. To hopefully make our MS-DOS disk so we can upgrade this machine and keep working on our pet project. Two down, two to go. So upgrading MS-DOS 6.22. No, so the clicking that you're hearing, that's the floppy disk drive stepping the read-write head forward one track at a time. So you'll notice the click coincides with the cylinder number change. Cylinder was just another word for track. So each click is another track ahead on the floppy disk. The hard drive is more the hum, the electric sounding hum in the background. And you might not be able to hear it because I turned the microphone down a little bit, but we'll turn it up a little bit more. Now, because the hard drive isn't reading or writing, all you hear is the hum, but hard drives do make some noise themselves. And actually, depending on how much time you've got, we'll run some... actually, we'll need to run some diagnostics. If you've got some time and you can hang around for me to get these disk images made and install DOS 6.22, you'll actually be able to hear the hard drive really make some noise as it installs. So, useless trivia. So, uh-oh. I might have to go get another one of these discs. Or not. So usually if you see the invalid media or track 0 bad, the disk is useless. Because in the old days, the file allocation table, the directory of where all the files were on the disk, could only be put on track 0. The operating system and the file system wouldn't let you store that anywhere on the disk. Later file systems let you put 2 copies of it on the disk, and even later file systems could be anywhere on the disk because there were markers on the disk that said, hey, if you're looking for the file table, you'll find it over here. So let's some interesting statistics for you while we're waiting for this. A computer today will have between 2 and 4,000 megahertz, 2 to 4 gigahertz. So that's a lot, 2 to 4,000 megahertz. This computer has an 8 megahertz CPU and a 6 megahertz math coprocessor. Of course, both of those ended up getting merged together in the early 90s, real early 90s, maybe late 80s. I can never remember the exact time frame. Okay, so all the disks have been formatted. They should be able to turn these into images. Let's see if we can. So we're going to go back to the images folder. those are disk images that we need to make. And then here's the list of utilities again on. So we're going to use raw write. Whoops. Number of sectors per track for this disk is 15. I don't know why. So, like all processors have the ability to process certain instructions. Well, they decided to come up with more instructions that served more of a math functions. That's why they call it the math coprocessor. Would speed up mathematic calculations, usually in spreadsheets. Some CAD could take advantage of a math coprocessor, and so the first x86 processor that was used in an IBM PC was known as the 8088. They also used the 8086. Then you had the 8286, 8386, 8486. Then you had the Pentium. Some companies kept it 8586. Well, let's just try running a different floppy disk through here. Once we got this project and we're stopped already. Nope, doesn't like that either. We'll see if we can use another tool. This probably isn't going to work for me. Okay, so that's not going to work. Let's try. Okay. We'll say disk copy C images disk1.img to A. Well, this is going to make for a very, very short live stream tonight because I can't get any of the disk images to work. Although, what we could do is we're going to try raw write. C images disk4.img to A. No, doesn't like that either. Well, I guess we're kind of stuck. Gonna have to wait until those DOS 6.22 disks actually get here. Well, don't want to leave you hanging. One thing we can do um, is see if we can install some Windows 3.1, for which I'm going to find the install media very shortly. I do have the original box copy of that, and we'll do it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. So I'm still looking for the original box copies of Windows. It's kind of distressing having the OEM versions of 3.0 and 3.1, and it usually does a CRC check of the image file. How it does the CRC check, and if it's the traditional standard CRC check that downloads today do, it's probably not the same thing. Or it might be written with a completely different format. There's a WinImage format that also reads and writes IMG files, but you need to have a Windows computer with a 5¼ inch drive hooked up to it, and I don't have any of those yet. I guess we'll have to save the installation of Windows for another time. But what I can show you well, at least in the video for you, is we're going to use the IBM Advanced Diagnostics. Just run some diagnostics on the hard drive, run it through its paces. Say system checkout. Awesome! So one of the things an IBM Diagnostics disk will do is it'll load all of the diagnostic files, and that was kind of all the noise you heard as the disk drive was loading all the files, and then it will show you what you have installed in the computer as far as diagnostics is concerned. Because if you have something that isn't IBM installed in your IBM computer, and that's our mascot, the pet cat, trilling in the background. So it's like this IBM personal computer AT and the wild cat underneath it. So IBM called them system boards versus motherboards. This AT has just over 5 megabytes of memory in it, measured in kilobytes. Keyboard. There's a VGA card in here, but the BIOS ROM of a AT didn't know what VGA was, so all it can say is it's got a color graphics monitor adapter. It has 2 disk drives, 5 1/4 and 3 1/2. It has that math coprocessor I was telling you about, and then you'll see serial parallel adapter, the parallel port, alternate parallel port, serial, and then alternate serial port. So, and then 1 fixed disk drive and adapter, and then there's also an expanded memory adapter that's 2 megs. This 2 megs here is not part of the 5.3 megs up there. It's a different type of memory that was used a lot back then, particularly when like computers couldn't address more than 640K of RAM until the 286 processor came. So what if you needed more RAM than that? And that's where they came up with expanded memory. So we're going to say the list is right. That's everything that's in there. We're going to run one test. We're going to run it on the floppy disk drive. We'll say read verify. Hard copy is not needed. If you can hear it ticking, that's the hard drive stepping the head over all however many tracks it was, 600 plus 700 plus tracks. And unfortunately, the test cannot be aborted, so you have to let it finish. And after we do finish the live stream tonight, I've been remodeling the library after the office library. since got back from Dallas, and that was back in January. Just going very, very slowly. So one thing that you had to do when you had an old hard drive like this is you had to do what was called a low-level format. And that was different from actually formatting a disk in the operating system. Now, nobody has to low-level format anything, whether it's an SSD or a spinning hard drive. Sergio, hello! Sergio, meet Zoo? Zoo, meet Sergio? Well, Zoo was a student of mine at the Parochial International School up here in Plattsburgh, and he was in the first A+ computer class we ever had at the school, and we've stayed in contact since he graduated. And what we were going to do tonight was a pet project to install DOS 6.22 so we could get drive space and try to build a 1.2 meg bootable drive, bootable disk, that would be able to fit Intel NIC drivers, Ghost 5.0, no, Ghost 4.0, so that we could back up the AT over the network. But that didn't work. The images were either corrupted or the raw write utility I have didn't work on them. So I actually did buy some original media on eBay earlier today. So when that gets here next week, we'll be able to do it the right way then. But there was some curiosity about, boy, what are the noises these old retro computers make? So listening to the 5 1/4 inch grunt and groan a little bit, and then it's like, oh well, what's the hard drive sound like? And that was just stepping. But I wonder if we run all tests, what's it do? And the camera keeps getting knocked off its perch. So right now it's doing a seek test, where essentially it tells, I've got actually quite a bit, but I heard there's more. I did see the post on CR today about somebody who stumbled into a motherload of floppy drives. I did happen to express my interest. If you happen to have any extra that you don't need, you're welcome to put them in one of the boxes that's coming my way. I did happen to get one. The other thing go through Zoo is show you the very basic. Don't mind the pet cat. The pet cat's lost its mind. I had both. I lost the 5 1/4, so I bought another one. I did a video on that a couple of weeks ago. I have no idea where the 3.5 version went. It's here in the apartment someplace. Nope, does not like. The VGA card does not like the old IBM diagnostics for the CGA card. Let's try. Okay, so it does the graphics modes okay. Fine. And the prepare system for moving is essentially telling the computer to put the hard drive heads in a part of the hard disk that won't get damaged when you turn the computer off. Because today's hard drives, as soon as the power is removed, they automatically move the heads off to the landing region where they kind of just live, so they won't damage the surface of the platter. These old hard drives, either the engineers didn't think about that, or the technology wasn't there to automatically park the heads when the power was applied. So you have to manually tell it to do it before you turn the power off. And then when the power gets down, I mean, it sounds like a jet engine kind of landing and having its power not applied. We're actually going to use LAN Manager, IBM PC LAN Manager. Oh, okay, mounting an NFS share from a Synology NAS or any Linux box. Okay. I'm trying to set up, Ghost on. I guess for me the challenge is getting it to fit on a 5 1/4 1.2 meg drive. It's going to have to be DOS 6.2 now so that it can use drive space, which I'm kind of disappointed. I really wanted to see get that installed tonight and watch grass grow as it was converting a 30 meg spinning rust into a 60 meg compressed disk. Which back then, like, that was so cool. Like, you could immediately double your disk capacity by using compression technology like that. Now, for $100, you can go get a 6 terabyte drive. I'm trying to think, like, how many megs is that? That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's not enough power to move it. So, Zoo, I don't know if you've watched any of the videos or the live streams before, but usually we pick a topic to talk about or a project to do, kind of like what we were going to attempt to do tonight. And then if there's time in the amount of time we usually budget, which is an hour to 2 hours, if we finish the project before the 1 or 2 hours is up, we end up playing. Right now we've been playing Monopoly, the Leisure Genius version that was released in the late 80s, which the graphics for the time weren't that bad. And I did discover something kind of neat last week, is you can actually have that version of the game play against itself. Like, you can fill all the players up with computer players. It takes a long time to watch, So I wouldn't do that unless you had a couple hours to burn watching the computer play against itself. But that was kind of interesting. I do think I have Stacker on my DR DOS box that you sent way back. I'm just not sure how to make a stacker volume on a floppy disk and make that floppy disk bootable so that it's self-mounting. I suppose I could. That could be a project that we could work on sometime. Do I want to ask you how you know? That sounds painful. Well, I'm just gonna put the. Oh, well, there are a lot more interesting live streams out than usually what I do, and if you do check out this channel that I'm live streaming on, um, some people have told me what they want to watch, and I usually accommodate them. I still have a lot of computer reset software to unwrap. The last live stream that we did, we took one of the enterprise products, which was the payroll edition, big big 3 ring binder, um, lots of documentation, lots of floppy disks, and come to find out that yes, I want to double space my floppy. So I probably won't be able to, but I want to try to see if I can double space my floppy. Actually, one thing I might try to do later is to see if I can actually make that happen on my old IBM ThinkPad. I can install DOS on that and see if I can do it. Well, it's going toward 6:30. I've got about 6:16 my time. Um, I know Sergio is a time zone behind me. Zoo, you're only an hour or two north of me, so you're in my time zone. But for watching these sort of things, a live stream, what time works good for you? Is 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern a good time? Oh, the couldn't get it to install. Like it would do something to the hard drive and then say, "Okay, you need to reboot now for that to take effect." So you would reboot, it would pick up the installer again and be like, "Oh, well, you need to do that thing to your hard drive." And it would do it. It would copy the files and then reboot again. And it would just keep doing that. And we like did that 5 or 6 times. And then I thought it's either a problem with the version of DOS, which this is using 3.3, or maybe something to do with the PCAT that the software didn't like. And this past weekend being Mother's Day was really difficult to get some time in my little studio room in Lion Mountain to test it on the PC. So I didn't bring accounting, payroll edition up there to try it with. So I might be able to do it this weekend, bring it up and see if it can actually be installed. Does it give me a hard time? But only time will tell. So I'm not sure when gonna do the next live stream. I might do it tomorrow. Might do it Thursday. Might do it Friday. I really need to rip into some of the boxes of time. Well then, okay, we'll do 6 p.m. Eastern Yeah, we'll do 6 p.m. Eastern if we can. So I want to, for those of you, my friends in the live stream, the live chat, the live stream, thank you for jumping on and joining me. And if you are watching on YouTube after the fact, thanks for sticking around this long. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.